Hello everyone, and welcome to a losers final between a Scotch Doubles game between Dizzle and Izom, who are probably the favourites if you look at their rating, and Fluke and Imajica are all decent players, and I'm joined, hopefully, I hope you can hear them clearly, I'm sure you can, by 9BallDotCom. Hugh, how are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad, Mal. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. It's nice to have a co-commentator. I'm not used to it.
Well, that's different from what you told me 10 minutes ago. You told me you were dying.
Dying?
Yeah, I thought you were ill.
Oh no, I'm okay. I have been
You're
ill.
okay now?
Yeah, I've been ill. I've had that horrible cold and cough, and I seem to get it over and over.
Right, so Mal, you can do the honours and explain the handicapping system in this match.
Right, well, as you can see from the rating, everyone, if you look in the top left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see that Izom and Dizzle, who aren't currently at the table. Imajica is highlighted. He's the one who's currently shooting. Izom and Dizzle, both good players. Their rating's 22-17. And as you can see by the handicap, it's a race to 5. Team 1, T1, have the 7 ball. That means if they pot their way through all the balls and they pot the 7, that's also the same as a 9. So you can class that as an extra money ball, so they should in theory have a better chance to win, and it should even out the difference of the teams. Pretty much that's it, Hugh. You can have different handicaps, can't you, Hugh? Different setups.
Well, you've got, these guys are just getting the 7 balls, so they've got 2 what we call money balls. That's your winning ball for each track. And sometimes, if the ratings are really a big difference in the ratings, you know, something like 300 or 400 points, that there could be some of the guys are getting 5 and out, which is a tough handicap to actually go up against. That means that the guys can pot the 5, the 6, the 7, the 8, or the 9 and win a rack. However, the one thing that we did do is to make it a bit fairer, we put on pot money, so that when the guys are breaking off, if they're getting a particularly big handicap, a lot of the times they were just potting balls off the break and they were winning a rack, so that was a bit unfair. So it's now spot money, which means that if they pot any of the money balls on the break, they're going to be spotted again, and they're going to have to pot them in play rather than off the break.
Very sensible. And here, Fluke and Imajica have started off really well to race to 5 to face... Ooh, who's in the final? You remember this one?
Larry and Bill sitting waiting in the final. That'll be a tough ask.
Yeah,
and it looks like, I would say that the winner of this match, whoever it's going to be, are going to be still getting a fair handicap when they go into that final. So there's going to be at least 100 points difference in the ratings, if not a couple of hundred if it's Fluke and Imajica that get to the final.
Well, that was a really poor miss by the Fluke and Imajica team, giving a chance to Dizzle and Izom. We don't want to give them too many because they don't need that many. They don't need a helping hand. They're good players. And that 5 hung up somehow, and now it's a simple case of mopping up, and he's played a good shot there to hold, and the black does pass the 9 into the corner. He's just having a quick look, so should be 1-1 when it probably should have been 2-0.
Now this is, I mean, there's a gap there, but sometimes that 9 ball can draw the 8 ball towards it when you're trying to cut these. And he's went the other way and he's cut it to the jaw.
Good call, Hugh. I mean, he tried to compensate by making sure he didn't hit it, and they haven't played a great shot there either, but it was a simple case of just playing the pot with a decent hit with a bit of side spin to pull the white out. But Imajica's now got a difficult shot, and it's a poor shot by Dizzle, who's an excellent player. Should have left that easier for his partner. Actually, that was Fluke, what am I saying? But anyway, a nice 9 ball, 2-0.
Yeah. I still say it's all about making your life simple in this game. There's a simple way to get onto a ball, that's the shot you should play. Now, the other thing to mention as well is we've got rack money on in this tournament as well. And that means that the 9 ball is moved up onto the head spot of the rack. So that brings the rack further up the table. And I've noticed over the past few weeks that the guys are struggling to get balls in the break with this rack money.
What I find
a lot tougher for them.
Absolutely. When I play that, it's a lot less predictable the break in VP4 than in Virtual Pool 3, which is a good thing, I think, because it gives the better players something a bit more to think about. Gives other players a chance. That's what we like on VP4. We don't want the same players battering everybody. I mean, I've got a really good record, but I play a lot of tournaments that are quite not that populated. But these tournaments are popular because you take one shot each, and what a lot of players do is they set up a private conversation with the other player so they can have a chat about the best shot to play without the other team being able to see it. So it can be really fun if you do that.
Yeah, the one thing I'm thinking about is whether Izom and Dizzle pay any thought to this 7-ball, because the one advantage you can have if you're actually playing against the 7-ball as a handicap is to try and get rid of that 7-ball as quick as you can in the rack. If you as long as you legally sink that 7-ball, that takes away the opponent's extra money ball, and it means it forces them to have to go right through to the 9. And a lot of these guys probably aren't really thinking so much about that, but it's something that's a tactic that you should be aware of in these handicap events.
That's a very good point, but I mean, there's not much of a chance in this rack to get rid of it, but certainly if the balls are clustered together, it's something to think about, particularly where there's only one ball, and like Hugh says, they'd have to go right through the rack. It's only 2 extra balls, but 2 extra chances for a mistake to come about or something to go wrong, and it just makes it a bit harder for your weaker opponents, in theory, to get it right. But this shot here has not gone quite to plan.
That was, I presume he tried to get down by the 9 and behind it, but even getting a good safety behind that 9, unless you nail that cue ball on the 9, these guys are going to jump it. Round the corner, well, he's under-hit it.
He was trying to pinch a little bit of the pocket there to get angle. Probably a better shot there was to jack the white a bit and just play a stop shot for the green into the pocket. There was no need to play anything more complicated. Like you said earlier on, definitely playing the simple shots always the way to go. Keep it simple. Don't let yourself make a mistake and you'll be fine.
This shot here, the shot that I would look at is coming between the 6 and the 8-ball. And he hasn't hit it hard enough. Or he's over-hit it, sorry. Depends what he's trying to do. Was he trying to come out into the middle of the table? That's anybody's guess.
This is going to spin out, unfortunately. So, I mean, you'd really expect Dizzle and Izom to take care of this rack. It's getting to the point where the winner's the person that makes the last but one mistake, and both teams now have had their chances here, so it's going to be an important rack to get on the board.
This should be a cakewalk now. Just a nice angle on the 7. Cue ball into the middle of the table.
And they really don't have to do anything with the white here. Just roll it in. The 9 will drop into the corner, so don't overcomplicate it.
Well, that makes it a wee bit more interesting. We might still have a match on here.
And an interesting thing to note as well, Hugh, for the viewers, is that the 7, when they've got the 7-ball as a handicap, they actually don't get any frame handicaps. Is that right?
Yeah, because we're playing multiple money ball handicapping as opposed to giving racks away handicap, which we've done for quite a while. So we've been trying this for a couple of weeks. The guys either like it or they don't like it. They can't have it both ways. I think it's fair when you consider the difference in standards between some of the players. There's some guys who, they might struggle to run a couple of balls, and need that money ball handicap. But then again, it works the other way. You've got guys who are maybe rated at 2,000 odd, who come up against the big boys who are rated 2 and 3, 2, 3, 400, and they're still giving away money balls. Now that's a tough ask, because most of those guys are generally good where they can actually run a rack. So it does seem a bit unfair when that happens. But then again, that happens in real life as well. I watch it in the pool streams from the States, the Pro-Am tournaments. There's guys getting multiple money balls. Admittedly, real life pool's a lot better than this, but it makes it a bit more competitive. The pressure's on you good guys to run the table, because you're expected to run the table. That's the level that these guys are playing at.
That's right. I mean, the lads who don't run a lot of balls are required to run 3, 4, 5 balls to win, whereas someone like myself who runs a lot of racks, I've often come into a game and given away when it was frames, like 4 frames in a race to 9, and thought, my God, I'll never win this, and then I've won like 9-5. So it's quite interesting that quite often the handicaps work. The best example in sport of this type of thing is golf, where sometimes a really good golfer gets a poor handicap, and it's always a challenge to handicap things right.
Yeah, handicapping in golf's the thing that makes it more competitive for the guys that don't get to play it. They might be weekend golfers, and if they happen to come up against these big guys in some sort of Pro-Am event, there's no way they would be competitive unless they were getting a couple of shots a hole or something like that. Well, we're at 2 racks all in this race to 5.
And just the final point I'll make on the handicapping is that obviously when we play VP4 online, you are asked to put a little bit of money into your VP4 online account to get some VP4 dollars. So we do need to give lads a chance, and lasses, of course.
Well, Dizzle miraculously managed to get the 5 ball in the break, and the problem area is going to be down at the bottom of the screen here with this 6 and 8, but the 6 goes into the bottom left as we look. I don't know where you get your camera, Mal, but I'm looking top down, just like like a TV broadcast.
Same here. I tend not to move it too much when I'm commentating. I just like to leave it, but obviously sometimes if it's tight, I'll have a quick move around. That looks a nice shot by Dizzle. Very well thought out, quality shot.
There's no way Fluke's going to jump that because he's too close, but he's got a fair margin of error here for the kick. Just needs to watch he doesn't hit that jutting jaw there in the middle pocket. Well, he's misjudged alignment there for the hit. We've got ball in hand for Izom and Dizzle. I've still got a funny feeling that 6 ball could be an issue, even though it's sitting there waiting to get into that left corner pocket.
It should really be something they're thinking about already. How are they going to leave the 4 to make that a non-issue, to make sure they can get down? But even if they get down, they really want to finish low on that 6 so they can get back out for the 7 without hitting the 8.
I'm just going to move my camera. I'm looking at the angle in that 4 now. That's not exactly the nicest angle to drop through in the 6 as far as I can see.
He's probably going to have to hit it or play it with a lot of top left to try and swing back out. Oh, he's done well. He's pinched it. That's actually a good shot.
That looks perfect. Yeah.
And to be honest, with all due respect to Izom, it would have been Dizzle who's more likely to do that really well with the precision. So he did really well there to get that right and leave Dizzle a fairly straightforward shot. Should unlock the rack for them here.
There's a golden rule in every game of pool or billiards: get the right angle on the ball. Sitting perfect in the 7. Well, could have done with coming away from that rail a bit, but
Yeah, because the 9's on the left-hand side of the table, you want to be getting to the other side of the table to leave yourself an easier shot and obviously to more area to go into. If they go up the other side, which is what they're doing, it's a little bit more tricky, and that's why the angle's not as easy as it could have been.
Yeah, he's a bit high in this 9, and
You should still get it.
The tendency here is to hit this to the far rail.
Still fancy him to get it, but it's, you know, a little bit less easy as well what it could have been. Let's see what he does.
Well, it did go to the rail a wee bit, but he got it in off the jaw.
So Izom did well in that rack there. He played a nice shot to get on the 6, and then he potted a tricky 9, so fully deserving their 3-2 lead. They get the break now, so big rack now. You're either going to get 4-2 or 3-3, so it's important that Imajica and Fluke really take any chance of getting this rack, otherwise the match could be slipping away.
Now here's going to be an example of the push out here. Now even the pros will say you try and tie up a ball when you're playing a push out. But I watched that the other night there in the World Pool Masters or World Cup of Pool, and
that's not a good push out.
Yeah. England refused the push out. They sent it back to Chinese Taipei, and the guy jumped about, must have been 8 foot, and actually potted the ball. But yes, that there is not a well thought out push out. Don't leave them a gift.
Now on the push out, for the benefit of the viewer, I've talked about this before, but what you're aiming for is a 40-60 shot. You're aiming to leave a shot that the incoming guy doesn't really want to take, but he doesn't want to give it back to you either. So that he takes it or gives it to you when he shouldn't. So it's kind of like you shouldn't leave something dead easy that they definitely take, and you shouldn't leave something too hard that he just gives back. So it's that delicate balance of leaving something awkward that he doesn't really want, but that he doesn't want to give back either, and that makes the decision really tough as to whether to play it or not. But what we've just seen was an absolute gift. So really a good screw back here. Avoid getting hooked on the 8. And this should be 4-2. Top spin's dangerous.
Wants to run. No, he's going to draw it.
He's just playing with us. Good shot.
Play this with a bit of inside, or is he going to start rolling the cue ball around? No, he's just played it plain ball. Always the danger of getting involved with that 8 ball.
Yeah, I would have spun a little bit of left spin just to keep that out of the way, but he paced it right, and he could just roll this in now and, probably take it. It's going to be a little bit tricky where he's left it on the green unless he hits it really hard and goes 2 rails. Stunning, it's an option, but just be careful of that 9 ball. Good shot again.
Well, this looks an easy out, provided he gets the 6. He dropped round off the end rail onto this 7.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't miss the 7 either, because it's a money ball for team 1, so
that's exactly
a lot of pressure.
He just needs to roll through. Probably the same again, just roll it through a couple inches for the 9. Oh. Went the other way to leave it in the middle. That's the problem with looking down on it. I can never judge the angles. Trying to read a shot sometimes.
I think I would have just rolled that in, just plonked to sort of like dead weight, just sort of use the weight of the balls if anything else to stop, but that works fine as well. For me, I'd always move the white less if I can get away with it, just to reduce your margin for error. But took that one out well, so 4-2 now, heavy favourites now to to win, but that I think is a dry break.
Well, I'm looking for a problem here with this run out.
Probably the 5.
The 5's this awkward one.
Ooh.
Well, the 1's even more awkward if you can't sink that one. That was a bad one.
The 5's tricky because really the only place you can land is between the 6 and the 7 to take the 5 in the middle. And that is not easy to get onto from the 4. What you'd probably do is leave yourself middle of the table, play the 4 into the corner where the blue is, and then look to hit the 7 out the way. But it's not easy, and it's definitely the 1's puzzle they're going to have to solve if they're going to win the match at this visit.
Well, it's sitting pretty there for a bank as well, into the opposite middle.
True. This is awkward because you could easily nick this 8 and land behind either the 8 or the 4, but that's probably the right way to go. Now, would you move the 5 here, Hugh? Would you trust a chance a little bit? A bit of a gamble?
Well, if he tries to move the 5 and misses it, he's going to drop down way too low in this 4. This is where you have to just ride your luck a bit, because the angle's going to take the cue ball over that left side of the table. And I think you've just got to trust to luck that you don't get involved too much with any of those balls sitting there. Well, that was a bit of a lunge, shall we say. A
mighty flail, as Jim Weiss would say. I think what I would have done there, you could actually be a bit more precise. The way to hit that shot, I think, was to play with a little bit of top left, and you would have just actually hit near the of the 3 spots on the left-hand side, the first one, and I think you might have just come off the 6th thin, come back across. It was not as marginal or as random as what it looked, but again, what's actually happened is he's opened up. So one good pot on the 3 here, and well, it looks like he's not taking it.
A cover.
I think he's left it.
Look, well, I think that's
left. It's hard to hold.
Shown enough to actually make the pot. He might actually cut that to the short rail down at the end.
Yeah, you can cut it at the corner. You probably have to go rail halfway down. The hard bit is actually holding for the 4. Put a little bit of top left on it and throw it a bit, and I think that'll be okay. This is definitely makeable. I don't know what he's doing here.
Well,
that's a foul.
That's ball in hand.
To be honest, I think Dizzle made a big mistake there. A player as good as him should have taken the pot on.
This is a golden opportunity for Imajica and Fluke.
An opportunity they shouldn't have got, really, because that did go, and with the match on the line, I would never turn that down. If you miss, fair enough. What's the worst that could happen? Well, this is going behind the 6.
Oh dear, this might be a disaster.
Oh, it's horrible. So unlucky.
That's the only place in the table you don't want to be.
And to be honest, if we offered him $100 to actually get there, he would probably find it difficult. And in the chat, he's not happy at all on that one, and rightly so as well. I think it's more unlucky than bad, but obviously you cannot really, you shouldn't be anywhere near there, really. Good hit.
Where he needs a bit of luck. Looks as if it might be.
He's got it.
Cracking behind the 9. Well, that'll do me. Would settle for that any day of the week.
Especially given the last shot, you would, pick a place on the table that you'd be happy with, and that's it. So the match stays alive. Just. Watch for the 9.
Right, so Imajica and his partner Fluke are now at the table. Remember, they've just got to get to that 7 ball in the middle of the table to win the rack.
Sometimes it's hard to remember that you have a handicap ball, isn't it? You just start to pop balls without really thinking. So here he's just got to make sure that he finishes on one end of the table or the other. You don't want to finish in the middle here or on a line of the 7.
Yeah, he either underhits it or overhits this. Either way, he's got to have a shot in the 7.
But it's important, isn't it, Hugh, that you make a decision either way, or you do always end up in the middle as a sod's law. That's a good shot.
That's good.
So as Hugh
Just
said,
needs to roll this in. Now, with the break, and I think we've got a little problem there because Fluke has misinterpreted the pass turn option to his partner, and which he's actually just done by choosing Control T to pass turn to his opponents.
What's the right one? Is it Control P?
Well, I can't remember what buttons it is, but I just go into the escape menu and it gives you the option to change to your partner to let him break. But the opponents did the fair thing. I think they passed it back, didn't they?
They did, so commend them for that sportsmanship, which we always see in Q Sports, and it's nice to see it here, that they gave them it back. They appreciated the mistake had been made, and the game continues. So a good shot there. And Imajica and Fluke have got a problem with the 1 very close to the 9 as well. Very difficult to hit this one, Hugh. How on earth do you get it? You probably go to the top of the table with left-hand side and try and come just near the centre pocket just before and come down for the 1, but it is really hard. Alternatively, just do that. Great shot.
Yeah. Now, in that situation, had that shot not been on, the one thing... the sort of last resort thing you would do is at least move the 9 ball away from the 1 ball if you're going to sacrifice ball in hand. And that way you don't just leave them a simple combo.
Now, is there a route through here? It's about as tight as it gets. I think you can see it, but there's not much you can do with it, unfortunately. Yeah, it's just going to be trusting a bit to luck again. And we are seeing some pretty nice safeties off both teams here at the minute. Now with this shot, you've got to be careful you don't double it if you try and put the white behind the 3 or the 8. The shot might be to come off thin, put the yellow between the 3 and the 8 and bring the white up around the cushion towards the 5 and the 2, but lots can go wrong here. Well, he went for glory. How's his luck? It's okay.
The old jump stick in action here.
It's going to be difficult to hold for that 2 though, Hugh. If he gets this potting angle right, the white's going to be careering to probably behind the 4 and the 5 off the cushion. Oh dear.
You don't have any real control over the cue ball, or the judgment of control with the pace on a jump shot is very difficult. You wouldn't have had a shot in a 2 there anyway.
Yeah, like I said, it was always going to be, if he got the potting angle right, he actually cut it further than he wanted, but if he'd got it right, the white would have been over the same side of the tables where it ended up, and very, very difficult. And you just wonder if that's the case, if you can't guarantee you have a shot, is it better to do something else?
At 3, I've had a look at it. It goes in off the bottom jaw as we look at it. He doesn't want to try and steal any more than that. He's got it clean.
He's got to watch this bounce. He's got to watch this bounce. Just okay. He won't like it though. A lot of pressure on this run out, because if they miss, it's going to be 4-4, and they've got the ball. Remember, they've got the extra ball, so it's important that Dizzle and Izom run this out now and put this match to bed. Nice use of check side there to hold for the 5. Good shot.
Now the one thing going to be an issue here is if Izom resorts to his old draw technique here. The angle's there just to run around and come out for this 6.
And that's definitely the right shot. You use the just like that, and you're guaranteed pretty much to come through.
He's overhit it though.
Yeah. I think the shot that you're in for there, for anyone who's looking to get a few tips off me on that one, is you play that at ball speed, and all you aim to do is to drift slowly through the 9 and the 7. You don't really think about the 6. You just try and score a goal like a football. But you can cut this, and he's done a good job of it.
Well, this shot here, all you do is concentrate in the pot. You don't need to worry about the cue ball.
Isn't it good, Hugh, to have a player like Dizzle coming in on a tricky shot like that last 6? You know, really was a tough shot.
Well, I looked at that shot and I thought, well, the cut's on, but it's a thin cut. And then I thought, well, that 8-ball makes that corner pocket a bit bigger. I thought he might have went for the bank.
It's a great pot.
Goes the 7. That's a good shot. Yeah, I would just leave Izom at distance here because it's pretty
oh my
straight
goodness
and he didn't
me!
want to do that, and that's a disaster.
I'm in shock.
Well, that is worse than shooting yourself in the foot.
Well, at least we get a decider and an unlikely one, but there we go. So best of luck to both teams, and they're going to have to pick themselves off the floor for this deciding rack, Hugh.
Well, I think Dizzle must have thought, it looked dead straight to me, but he must have thought he could have made some sort of angle in the shot there, and he just hit it completely plain ball, and the momentum's just going to take it straight through into the pocket.
It can happen because, everyone knows the pockets of these are really wide, so you can hit the cushion early and still nip it into the pocket, and it hurts so much because, obviously it's the last thing, it's a really one thing you've got to avoid, really. And that is a stunning shot. And they've now got a real chance to run this out, with the 6 being the only real problem, Hugh, to get from the 5 to the 6 and then the 6 to the 7.
Yep.
So it's nice that for our first commentary we've had an exciting finish anyway.
As he dropped to the middle pocket, he's overhit it, or has he underhit it? It's anybody's guess.
I think he'll take that, to be honest. Again, this is the key shot now. Where does he land on the 5? He's got to be really precise here to land, to either give himself a shot into the middle to drift down, or a shot into the corner. He's got to be decisive here and don't end up stuck straight, because it could go all wrong.
Well, the big margin for error would be to get it on the side rail there, or we'll get it parallel with the 5. He's not made that. How's that 5 look into the middle from there though?
It's tight.
That looks actually not bad.
It's okay.
He just rolled straight through.
No, he's got a nut snooker himself. That's perfect, really. That's absolutely fine. Now just here, all you do here, really put a little bit of top on and just come off the side cushion, and anything after that, anything after the middle is perfect. So massive chance for an upset here. Actually, he's only got to get the 6 and the 7 here. It's me been forgetting again. That's perfect. This game's over. Barring a very unlikely miss.
7 balls, a money ball. Again, in this instance, you don't want to spend far too long studying the ball and the angle. You just, your natural instinct would tell you to pot that. And it just scrapes in.
A lot of pressure, but well done, Imajica and Fluke, and a pleasure to commentate with you. Thanks.
Yes, Mal. We'll see you again sometime.